right. I guess that music means we're live, Kate.
I don't know why it feels strange to me today.
Does it?
Yeah.
Is it because we did our last show not live?
I think so.
Unlive?
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 That's not a word, is it?
I just made that up.
I like it. Yeah, I think it's because we knew we weren't live, and so it just had a different feel. I like both. They're both totally different feelings.
I know. Good, huh?
It's a good Friday feeling. I love it. We have a party going on in the chat room already, and it's going to be a fun show.
Look at this. Look at this.
As I said, partay in the chat room.
Partay. I like it. I like it. We, I just turned over a new leaf.
Okay.
You know how normally we've been brushing with this organic toothpaste?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I figured what better day than today, than speaking with Dr. Judene Benoit about our oral health and stuff, to start going back to the baking soda.
You know what's so funny you said that is I know we're so low on that natural, it's fluoride free, all this stuff. I've been squeezing the last little bit out of it. And I thought, too, I'm not going to buy a new one. Because for a while there, we were doing really good with the baking soda. And then I don't know what you get. I think, like most people, we get addicted to that minty fresh mouth.
Yeah.
So that's funny. I haven't bought a new one on purpose because I'm like you. I think I have a new leaf I'm turning over. An old leaf returning over.
It's an old leaf returning. It's funny you go off and on these things, different dietary approach, or different, all kinds of different health practices you kind of go off and on. So yeah, we're going to be having a great show today.
I'm excited.
We're going to learn how to stop cavities.
Who doesn't want to stop cavities? Seriously.
Super important, right?
Yeah.
Super, super important. All right, so this is what episode is this?
383.
383, Dr. Judene Benoit. Her website, if you're interested in, is judenedds.com, and we'll link to that in the chat room as well. And let's see, if you guys would like to support our show, we are 100% commercial free now, so if you'd like to support the show, a great way to do that is go to extremehealthradio.com/join, and you can donate to us via Patreon, and you can share our stuff on Facebook, and that all helps to support the show, and bookmark our link on Amazon, things like that. You can find out ways to support us on extremehealthradio.com/join, and we'll put a link there as well. And if you'd like to sign up to our newsletter list, feel free to do that. Lots of great stuff twice a week coming out of there. And a cool little way to do that is if you text the word "get healthy" to 33444.
Nice.
Yeah, huh?
A little snappy tool.
Nice little snappy tool. And so if you do that, you'll get access to our audio bonuses that we have on there. A great, great book written by John Barron called Lessons from the Miracle Doctors. It sells currently for $20 on Amazon. We'll send it to you for free just for signing up. And also, the best part about it is that you get updated on the website, different articles that we post, and different shows that we do, upcoming shows, previous shows, so you never miss anything. So those come out twice a week on Monday and Friday. Kate writes one, and then I write one.
And we love it.
Pretty fun, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of a fun way to recap everything going on, and it seems like there's always something interesting going on over here, isn't there?
Always, always, always.
I think most people would agree with their own lives.
It's true.
It's never a dull moment.
So today we're going to learn how to stop cavities, and which happens to be the title of Dr. Judene Benoit's book, How to Stop Cavities, a Natural Approach to Prevention and Remineralization. And we're going to learn some great stuff. And she's a dentist in Ontario, Canada, and she's been helping people improve their teeth and their lives using all kinds of different natural techniques and things like that. So it's going to be a really, really good show here. Thank you so much, Dr. Judene, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, so excited to have you on. Whereabouts in Canada are you?
Right near Niagara Falls.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Is it nice?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, really beautiful here.
Getting some good springtime. Actually, it's no longer spring. It's summer.
Newsflash.
Good summer weather up there?
Yeah. It's not too hot, but it's beautiful.
Oh, wow. I've never been up there. It sounds like a beautiful spot.
Yeah. It's we're trying to be a little bit like California. I would say there's some wineries opening up, and we're trying, but not.
We're trying as a collective whole, but it's not working out so well. Well, at least you have more water than we do, so that was a plus.
Yeah. Good point.
So I heard on a previous podcast that you did that you said that your father was in dentistry. Is this correct? For 40 years?
Yes. Yeah. He's a dentist, and he's been working for 40 years. And so actually it's been an amazing opportunity for me, because when I joined his office, I was able to see people with remineralized teeth and cavities that have had them for 40 years. So any concerns about, the longevity of arrested decay and remineralized teeth, that my questions were answered, that they definitely do last a long time. They can outlast restorations for sure.
Wow. Now, is your father a sort of a natural approach? Does he take a natural approach to dentistry like you do?
No.
No, he doesn't.
No, not at all, actually. But
interesting.
I was able to look at this and say, he's been helping people arrest cavities and remineralize their cavities through normal conventional ways. But I got into natural stuff and I was like, okay, how can we do this naturally? Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause what do they normally do? Is the first sort of thing a fluoride, or how do they do it in the standard approach?
Yeah. Fluoride. Yeah. But also just the types of patients that my dad sees. He sees everyone. And so some people I've been able to see remineralize their teeth and cavities, and I say that they do it by accident, because he sees some homeless people and all sorts of different types of people who are substance abuse, have a history of that. There's a lot of different types of people that he sees, and so I see some crazy huge areas of remineralized decay that I don't think I would have been able to see in other offices. So I've been really fortunate to see that.
That's interesting. In the standard approach, do regular dentists think that it's possible, or do they not really think it's possible at all to remineralize your teeth?
Oh, no, we learn in dental school that you can. Yeah, for sure. It's in my dental school textbooks, it talks about arrested decay for sure. I mean, it's a conventional thing. The way that people promote doing it varies, right? Some people say fluoride, some people go natural, but definitely arrested decay and remineralized cavities is something that we all learn in dental school.
Isn't that's okay?
Yeah. So your dad and yourself, do you agree? And does he kind of agree with you now that it is possible and he values what you do, or do you guys just kind of take your own approaches and just, stay out of each other's way?
Oh, no. He definitely thinks that if people, we're really open to what people want. We're just the type of people, well, me especially, if people want to use a natural technique, they're welcome at my dad's office for sure. We're just not the type of people to say my way or the highway.
That's awesome.
But the message that I want to promote is that it is possible, and that's important, because a lot of people don't realize that, and I really want people to know that our bodies can heal, and not to underestimate the healing power of our bodies, and that includes teeth and cavities.
Yeah, it's something that we stress a lot on our show. We've talked to a lot of different dentists, and I think what people fail to realize is it's really interesting connection between something as small and seemingly sort of innocuous is like a cavity. How if that progresses and people don't take care of their oral health, that could progress, and over time, in sort of a worst case scenario, you end up with a cavitation or root canal or something like that, and then because of the meridians and how each tooth affects different organs and things, and it starts becoming a systemic whole body health issue for people. And we've all seen people with multiple cavities, multiple mercury fillings, multiple tooth decay or root canals and things like that. And so it starts affecting the overall health, probably more as you get older, right? You start seeing the cascading effects more.
No, actually, there's a huge connection with systemic health and developing teeth. It's really important for even before the teeth are present in the mouth. Systemic health affects how those teeth will be for the rest of the life.
Oh, so when a baby's developing.
Pardon?
Like when a baby's developing, you mean? Like before the teeth come in?
Yeah, before baby teeth develop, and then when the adult teeth are developing as well. Yeah, for sure, systemic health. And that's like part of what I love and is in my book, a lot of research. Like, because I do have a very strong connection with a lot of dentists, most of them are conventional. I mean, obviously some are holistic, but I think it's really important for like when I am talking with dentists to have the research behind everything that I say. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
because otherwise they don't believe it. I mean, and I'm the same way. Like I like to see research, right? So there is so much research out there connecting teeth and cavities with the rest of our body. I mean, even just structurally, when you think about it, our teeth have blood in them. Like, a lot of people think that teeth are just these solid blocks. I think maybe because enamel, like the outer part of our teeth, seems like, this solid part, that's not really an alive part of our body. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But definitely, like, inside our teeth, there's blood in the pulp, and there's a lot going on underneath the enamel, something called dentin. Mm-hmm. It's just teeming with activity. It's so just structurally, our teeth are so connected to the rest of our body. Mm-hmm. And then there's a lot of research showing how that is related to cavities. So
interesting. So how are people getting cavities? I mean, what's the deal? Are people getting cavities more and more these days? And what's the sort of main offenders, do you think? Other than, I mean, everyone knows sugar, but what are some ways that people are getting cavities so much these days?
Okay. Well, there's three things that I like to talk about. There's so many factors relating to why people get cavities, but I like to focus on three just because there are areas I don't think people really know. They haven't really heard of. There's tons of research there in the labs, but it hasn't really trickled down into what people do every day in their house. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So one of those ways is blood flow. So like I was saying, our teeth have blood in them. And, so that's like a direct connection with the rest of the body there. So the reason why teeth have blood in them is because the inside part of our teeth, called dentin, needs to have nutrients supplied to it. And so there's this part of the teeth called odontoblasts. They're actually my favorite part because
got a great name.
I just think they're so cool, and they really do so much for our teeth. So I always think of odontoblasts as tall, skinny guys, and pulp. So they're sitting in like the blood of the tooth, inside the tooth, but they have these long, skinny arms that reach up into the dentin, and dentin is the part that's underneath enamel. So, and dentin has like all these tiny little tubes in it. So these odontoblasts, these tall, skinny guys, they have their arms reaching up into the tubes of dentin, and they literally carry the nutrients from the blood. They don't carry blood, like the actual blood, but nutrients and fluid from the blood into the rest of the tooth.
Okay.
And this is really important because it's not a constant flow, so it changes. So sometimes there's more carrying of the nutrients and fluid, and sometimes there's less. And this really affects how susceptible a tooth is to a cavity. So think about like if you have dry skin and you go to put lotion on your skin, it's going to get soaked in real easily, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas if you are sweating and you want to put lotion on your skin, it's not going to go in. It's just the lotion is going to sit on the top of your skin. It's not going to soak in. So we all know about how bacteria, we're not supposed to have, the cavity causing bacteria on our teeth. But what we don't realize is that in a state of dryness, if the tooth is dry because there's not much fluid in the dentin, then having bacterial acids on the tooth is a really bad thing because it's going to get soaked right in, just like having dry skin. Your lotion's going to get soaked right in. So bacterial acids, which are produced from eating sugar, or other ways as well, but bacterial acids that are sitting on a tooth are going to get soaked in right away, real easily, when the tooth is like in a dry state. When it's sweating, when there's lots of fluid being moved by those odontoblasts, those tall, skinny guys moving fluid from the blood into the dentin of teeth, then it's going to be like sweating. And so having bacterial acids is not going to be as risky. So someone who has a sweating tooth is going to be at much lower risk of getting a cavity, and someone with a dry tooth is going to be at high risk of getting a cavity.
That's interesting.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Is that related to the phosphorus calcium ratios and things like that?
Well, it can. Yeah, definitely. They've done studies that show that some nutrients will cause a decreased amount of fluid. But yeah, so they've done, one of the main things that I like to talk about, because I love the whole emotional stuff, is that the connection that our teeth have with emotions. Like, there's actually research out there. So having high levels of cortisol, like having high stress, will actually stop or reduce that transfer of fluid from the pulp into the tooth.
Really? So that just by itself, the stress from and the stress hormone cortisol can actually cause the reduction of that fluid. How crazy!
I've never heard that. That's cool.
Yeah, and it really makes sense because, when we're in flight or fight mode, like when we're stressed out, our body prepares ourselves to fight or flight, right? Like, it's an emergency situation. So you stop digesting, and instead your focus is on, like good eyesight, fast reflexes, things like that. And then when we go into relaxation mode or rest and digest mode, then, you're not in an emergency situation anymore. And then the body focuses on like liver filtration and really important stuff, but not during an emergency situation. So when we're, our body's set up amazingly. Like, when we're being chased by the saber-toothed tiger, you don't want your teeth to be protecting, being in a protected state from cavities. Like, who cares, right? Like, you want to be able to run fast and see well, right?
Right.
So that's the reason why. But so many people live in a chronic state of stress, so that can definitely affect their teeth.
That's
and the risk of cavities, as well as sensitivity is related to that. Like, if you have a sweating tooth and you have, cold water or something that would cause sensitivity, it's going to be less prone to that. So
wow. So
yeah, it's cool.
Do we know?
Very cool.
Did the studies that you are referring to? Do you know if they said how much stress plays a role and the cortisol plays a role in that, or just that it does?
Yeah, I'm not sure like how much. Just that it does.
Well, like you said, to what your statement there about being in a chronic state of stress. I mean, it's not like people have these sort of, bouts of stress that are just kind of come and then they leave. Like you said, if we're all living in a chronic state of stress, this is just happening all day long.
Right. Yeah. So their teeth are going to be left in a vulnerable state all day long.
Wow. That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tooth emotional connection. I wouldn't have really put that together. I don't think. I put together the teeth with the meridians and the different body systems, but the emotional component, it's like, man, are we all more connected than we could ever imagine?
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, teeth are definitely intricately related to our systemic health. And some other things, like definitely sugar. Like, I know we all hear about not eating sugar because it feeds the cavity-causing bacteria, which produce acid. But also, it affects our teeth from the inside as well. So sugar will reduce that fluid movement as well, like the odontoblasts, those tall, skinny guys transferring nutrients and fluid from the blood into the rest of the tooth. Mm-hmm. So having high amounts of sugar will reduce that flow.
Now, we know that sugar, it's interesting because sugar is really in everything. Every food has some degree of sugar. So when you say sugar, a lot of people are getting off fruit these days. You know, we have a guest in the chat room who's talking about being a big fruit eater, and he knows it has its relation to candida and things like that. You know, what types of sugar are going to be the worst? Obviously, I'm sure the candy
it's actually having elevated levels of blood sugar. So that's what happens. So again, like, think about when we're in an emergency situation and we're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. Our body mobilizes sugar into our blood. So it takes sugar from the cells and puts them into our blood so we can fuel our brain and think better, right? Mm-hmm. So having high levels of blood sugar, it could be caused from eating sugar or anything, just elevated levels of blood sugar will fool your body into thinking it's in that emergency situation. Oh, I don't need to protect the tooth anymore because I have, elevated blood sugar levels mean that it's like an emergency situation. It's not a time to protect the tooth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, mm-hmm. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, the glycemic index, like that sort of stuff. So I can't say like having, a particular fruit or not having a particular fruit. It's more like making sure that your blood sugar levels are low, right? Not spiking your blood sugar, mm-hmm. and eating foods that are low on the glycemic index, or if you're going to eat something that's high, then combining it with something that's going to prevent a spike in blood sugar. So that's related to protecting the tooth from cavities.
Maybe some kind of fat or something that will slow that down. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Mm. Yeah, so that's why you hear. Most dentists will tell people if they're going to eat sugar, to eat it during meal times as opposed to snacking, right? And part of that is because it's going to prevent a spike in blood sugar.
That happened to me yesterday. It was the worst.
Oh,
I ate a snack by itself. I never do that in the middle of the day, and it was just like, it was good, quote, good, healthy kind of sugars, but my gosh, I felt like I was almost about to have a heart attack. It was the worst, and I forgot how bad and real that could be. Mm-hmm. I hadn't had like a spike like that in a long time. I thought, wow, this is what people, because I'm technically pretty low sugar these days, and that thing just hit me like a brick wall. So had I had it with a meal, I totally agree. It's like, I think it hides itself a little more and it balances out when you have some fats in there and stuff, but holy moly, was that intense.
Yeah, so exactly, like even natural sugars can spike your blood glucose levels, right?
Yeah.
So what about how important it is to brush? I've been doing a lot of this brushing and sort of flossing after my meals, even after my snacks and things. I would imagine that's pretty important to do to make sure the food particles don't stick to your teeth and all that.
Yeah, that's the bacterial connection. So, the bacteria that cause cavities, they consume sugar, and as a result of that, they produce acid. Mm-hmm. So that's what's really bad. The acid on your teeth is really bad. It'll literally dissolve the minerals out of your tooth.
So it's important to get those off, but it's really what I think what you're saying is even more than that. It's important to have that blood flow coming from the blood into the tooth, so it's delivering mm-hmm. minerals and things into the teeth instead of the other way around.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, I like to take, people ask me like, oh, are you about the outside factors, like the bacteria, or the inside factors like the blood flow? I mean, definitely both. Taking an approach to both is most superior, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say just in general, people are so good at brushing their teeth. Like they really know the bacterial connection well, and they're really good at brushing their teeth. But the inside connection with cavities, people are less aware of and don't really focus on as much.
It's funny. I got this picture in my mind of someone who's racing to work and drinking a big gulp smoothie or Slurpee or something like that, like a soda, and they're stressed out of their minds. But when they get to work, they make sure they brush their teeth. This doesn't make any sense,
Oh.
Yeah, totally. I like I say in my book that when it rains, it pours. I see so many people when they're stressed out and they get tons of cavities, or they break their teeth. They end up with dental problems, and it's like the last thing they need when they're stressed out. But there's a connection there. And of course, when you're stressed out, you don't feel like eating well. And so, yeah, people definitely, I find that it's like when it rains, it pours with the stress thing.
Vicious cycle, huh?
Sometimes what I do, we've heard this from different people on the show, is if I can't brush my teeth after if I eat some goji berries or some sort of dried fruit or something like that.
Something kind of tacky, huh?
Yeah. Well, I try to spread saliva all over my teeth because I hear there's minerals in the saliva, and that's really good for your teeth as well. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, saliva is super important to protecting our teeth. Actually, one of the main functions of saliva is to remineralize our teeth. Like our teeth people think like, oh, remineralization is this weird out there concept, but it's totally not. Like literally every single day, our saliva is remineralizing our teeth. We wouldn't have any teeth left if it weren't for our saliva. It's an important job that it does. So, yeah, saliva is really important. I recommend that there's a couple things with saliva. One is to have enough. So many people are dehydrated, and it's a simple fix to make sure that you're well hydrated, to make sure you have enough saliva so that it can do its job.
Okay.
And then the other thing is to have neutral saliva. So that's really important, to have neutral pH. So pH is a measure of the acidity. So you want to have no acidity in your saliva.
You want to have none.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Or as close to neutral as possible. You don't want to have acidic saliva because it's not going to be able to remineralize when it's acidic. And instead, it's actually going to be demineralizing your teeth, taking the minerals out.
So your own saliva will sort of act like what you were talking about before with the food acids. And so your own saliva could actually be like the food acid on your teeth, pulling the minerals from the tooth. Yeah, okay. So
exactly. Yeah.
How do people make sure, what's the correct level? Because a lot of our listeners are really, really switched on, and they do these strips and things. What's the level people want to get to?
And how do we do it?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be as close to neutral as possible, and neutral is pH 7. Mm-hmm. So anything below 7 is acidic,
okay,
and anything above 7 is alkaline. But don't worry about being alkaline. You don't need to be just focus on being 7, or as close to 7 as possible. So like some people are like, oh, if 7's good, then I should be 8 or 9. Like forget that. That's even some like disease.
It's got its own host of problems.
7 is a good goal for people, or around there.
Neutral. Okay. 7.0. Mm-hmm. And so, we've had doctors talk about different times of the day to test. Do you recommend different times of the day to make sure to test your saliva?
I recommend to test a whole bunch. Like take a couple days and just do some rigorous testing. Like test when you wake up in the morning. That's a challenging time for people because their mouths dry out during the night. So test all the time. Like in the morning, before you eat something, after you eat something, and then you'll really learn what happens. And everyone's different. Everyone has a different ability to buffer their saliva. Like some people can drink a pop and their saliva will be neutral.
My gosh.
And some people will drink a pop and their saliva will stay acidic for hours and hours after.
Wow.
And obviously it's not ideal to drink pop, but I mean, even other like healthy acidic things. people always want to know, like, oh, does my favorite food or drink cause my mouth to be acidic? And the best way to know is to test, because everyone's different, right?
Interesting.
So, yeah. So if you just test like a whole bunch of different times during the day and see if you have any high risk times, then you know what to focus on, or see if your favorite foods or drinks are causing acidity or not.
Well, this is good because we had our guest on our show a while back, Will, is he a doctor? I'm not sure if he's a doctor, Will Revick over in Hawaii. And he was talking about how he wrote this article about how he no longer drinks kombucha anymore because the acids actually eat away at the I'm not sure if he said enamel or dentin, but he said the acids eat away at the teeth, and he no longer drinks kombucha. And that's one of my favorite. We make it, we buy it, and I love it. But this would be interesting to try to do a pH strip test after drinking one of those and see how my saliva is. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you learn what's going on in your mouth. And if it is acidic, like, you don't have to stop drinking it, but you just have to, like, say after you drink it and your mouth is in an acidic state, you don't have to stop drinking it. You can just neutralize your mouth. Like I say, it's manually neutralizing your mouth. So do something that will raise the pH to neutral. Like, for most people, just drinking water should do it. But some people need a little extra boost. So anything green is usually very alkalizing. So they might want like something green, like chlorophyll drops. Like, a lot of people will put a couple drops of chlorophyll in their water and then drink that. Or, you know, and the only way to know is to retest again. So say your mouth is acidic and then you drink some water, test your mouth. Is it acidic? Yes. Then go on and do something to neutralize it. If it's neutralized, then you're good. And then you kind of learn what you need to do. So you don't have to test your mouth like all the time for the rest of your life, that you just know, okay, this is my go-to drink.
You know, it'd be interesting to test different times of different, you know, sort of phases in your life when, you know, if you're going through maybe a death of a loved one or a lot of stress at work or something, and to drink something like a kombucha. It would just be interesting because I bet you it would be different. Now, I take, sometimes if I drink a kombucha or something acidic like that, I will rinse my mouth out with water right after, or I will do the baking soda thing. Is that too alkaline, do you think, right after that?
No, that's brilliant.
That'll work?
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't mean not to consume really alkaline substances. Like, definitely consume alkaline substances. I mean, don't try to have your saliva like consistently like really alkaline, because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. But yeah, baking soda, I mean, that's brilliant. That's like your go-to, right? So after you have something that you think might be acidic, if you don't have time to test, your go-to is your baking soda water. That's brilliant.
Okay. That's a good thing. And I feel like sometimes it might be too harsh, because I try to do it, before bed, and I sort of mix, Kate and I do a little salt water thing. We're going to get back to this. Actually, we've not been doing it for the last few months, but, a little bit of, salt, Himalayan rock, pink salt, some baking soda, and a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. You mix it in water and sort of use that as a mouthwash right before bed. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, hydrogen peroxide. I don't know the pH of hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, definitely like baking soda, salt, those are going to neutralize your mouth. That's perfect. That's like a great thing to do, because you want to go to sleep with your mouth in a neutral state for sure, or slightly alkaline. You want to set your body up for protection during the night. So when a lot of our mouths dry out, right? So, yeah, that's great. I don't know. You know what you should do? You should check the pH of that. Just dip a strip into it and see what the pH is. And then also, after you rinse your mouth with it, to test your mouth. And then you'll know. You'll know for sure if it's good for you.
I love it.
I have a question. What about people who become kind of brush obsessed? Like, are they actually, say the average person, is doing the 3 times a day thing. Say they're brushing their teeth, like they're obsessed with it maybe 7-8 times. Are they actually doing harm by taking good stuff off the teeth?
I think so.
Yeah. I wondered because a lot of people get so into stuff that it just becomes kind of a little overboard, and then you wonder if you're doing some damage,
Yeah. I think, instead of spending so much time brushing their teeth, like if they started doing some things like focusing on more of the internal aspects or the pH or something like that, that might be better use of their time. That's what, I know some people definitely, they're like, I don't understand why I'm getting cavities. I brush like crazy. And then they brush even more. And, they might be better off to focus on some other aspects. There's so many different reasons why people get cavities.
Now,
the bacteria thing is just like one part of it.
Yeah, and it makes sense that the conventional, medicine would focus on that because, there's obviously more. There's just more money in prevention of bacteria and things outside of us that are supposedly causing these things. I wanted to ask you though, is it true that the direction that you brush your teeth matters? You know how people will say you need to brush up and down in circular motions? I can't ever seem to get myself to do that. I don't know why. I'm probably not the best person to ask this. You'd probably be better off to ask someone who's like an expert in the oral hygiene stuff. Like I am so obsessed with the internal stuff. Like I want to say to you, like, no, it doesn't matter. But I could be totally wrong. You might want to ask someone who's an expert in that. But I am not super passionate about I obviously brush my teeth and tell people to brush their teeth, but I think everybody does such a good job already. Like we have it ingrained into our heads to brush since we're kids. So I think everyone does a good job. Mostly everyone does a good job. And it's kind of like maybe focusing on some of the other areas would be beneficial. So I think that if whatever you're brushing, like however you're doing it is perfect. I think so. Yeah.
I feel like it's a lot like the people who focus on losing the weight or, an outside thing. And it's really what's going on. I like everything with us. It's more the internal terrain that really matters versus the outside appearance of things.
Yeah. Like I'm not saying let your teeth go, never brush your teeth, but it's like, I think like all the little like specifics, the details about brushing teeth are maybe not as effective as some of the internal stuff.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah. Sometimes we're making big deals of the things that just are smaller deals, but we put our focus in the wrong place.
I know, right?
We have an interesting question in the chat room from our buddy Colin, who says he's personally had good experience with coconut oil and plaque reduction. He wonders if you think that coconut oil pulling is beneficial.
That was on my list.
Oh,
good.
Look at us.
I like it.
We're in the Friday flow.
That's right. That's good.
Well, actually, they have done studies on lauric acid, which is plentiful in coconut oil, and it's been shown to reduce levels of Streptococcus mutans, which is the cavity-causing bacteria. So certainly, definitely, coconut oil has been shown to reduce cavity-causing bacteria. So I think it's great.
Yeah, and people use it also to whiten their teeth. I think they do that for whitening. I'm not sure.
With the coconut?
I think so. Yeah, they claim that it helps. But
interesting.
So, what other internal sort of issues or things can people do to remineralize their teeth? Because I remember you said on a different show that you did that lots of people have different sort of approaches to it, and people get results with doing different things, and so I know that there's a wide array of things, but we have people that constantly write us about this high vitamin butter oil and cod liver oil and these healthy fats and low sugar and things, but I'm sure you're saying a wide range or wide array of techniques people are using.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Like there's no right or wrong way to remineralize your teeth. There's no one right way. There's lots of right ways. There isn't like a specific thing that you have to have or else you can't remineralize your teeth. Like that, I know that is not true. Cause like I said, I've seen some homeless people with like crazy huge remineralized areas. And so I'm pretty sure they're not all like, you know what I mean? I just know it's possible to do it. We innately are capable of healing our teeth. But that being said, people have to have the right conditions, like all the necessary conditions to do so have to be in place in order for teeth to be remineralized, for cavities to be arrested. So whatever that may be for people, like, you know, minerals or the stress thing or the acid thing or like something, maybe if you want me to talk about like matrix metalloproteinases, like all these things, maybe some people need one or many. The necessary factors have to be in place. So how they go about doing that with a specific diet, it's kind of up to them, right? Like, I mean, whatever diet they find works for them, if it's making sure that all the necessary factors are in place, then they're going to have success.
Yeah, talk a little bit about those MMP enzymes and things like that. I think that's pretty interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So MMPs, matrix metalloproteinases, it's an enzyme that's present in our teeth, as well as all over our body. And it's responsible for breaking down, damaged parts. So I like to compare it to a gardener. So if you have a garden, a beautiful flower garden, some of the flowers die, and the gardener goes in there and cleans them up so that the new flowers can be healthy and the garden can be beautiful. Like, it's an absolutely necessary part of having a healthy garden, and same with in the body. Clearing away damaged and dead tissue is absolutely critical to having a healthy, growing, functioning body. And, or not growing, but like, you know, repairing as well as growing. And so that's the same with in teeth. So when bacterial acids or some sort of acid causes demineralization in the tooth, the minerals are removed, it causes damage, and this damage is cleared by the MMPs.
Okay.
And it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary so that the tooth can be healthy and can function properly to have these damaged parts removed. Okay. But MMPs need to be stopped. It's like the gardener that just goes wild in the garden and chops away all the dead flowers, but then moves on to the live flowers, and soon the garden is destroyed.
Okay.
So it's the same with the tooth. So MMPs need to be stopped. They need to be inhibited, or else they will continue removing damaged parts and then move on to healthy parts. And so this results in the progression of a cavity. So when there's too much MMPs and too little inhibitors, a cavity, particularly the studies have demonstrated that it's dentin cavities, so like any real cavity beyond just like superficial, is going to progress in that situation.
Okay, so those MMPs, and then you also mentioned TIMPs in your book as well, right? Yeah,
so those are inhibitors of MMPs.
I see.
Tissue inhibitor. So any inhibitor of MMPs, like like TIMPs, that's one of the major inhibitors.
Okay, so you want to make sure. So how do you go about making sure, or even knowing that this is an issue? I guess depending on how fast your cavity progresses.
Right. Yeah. Some people, definitely have really rapidly progressing cavities. And so you want to have slowly progressing cavities so that your saliva can remineralize them. Or you want to have no cavities, right? So how do you know that? You can't really, I'm not aware of any tests to know that, but there's some things that we can do to help ensure that. So MMPs are signaled to turn on by free radicals. So free radicals, like we always think of as being bad, right? But they're actually very important. Like our body naturally produces free radicals for a purpose. And that purpose, one of the purposes is that it's a signaling mechanism to activate MMPs. Okay. So it's like everything in balance, right? Like free radicals are necessary in small amounts to activate MMPs. Like, and then MMPs are good in small amounts to clear away damage so we can be healthy. But these things get out of balance. And so often people have too many free radicals, right? Not enough antioxidants to balance out the free radicals. So an excess of free radicals and a deficiency in antioxidants is going to result in the activation of matrix metalloproteinases, MMPs. And then that's going to be like the gardener that goes wild in the garden and destroys the garden.
So does stress play a role in having too many free radicals, I'm sure?
Yes, stress, actually, yeah, you're right. Stress has been shown to increase levels of free radicals and use up stores of antioxidants. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
So how else are we getting too many free radicals? Because seems like it's directly affecting the MMPs.
I wonder if they're
free radicals. Sources are, any sort of pollution, toxins, that's like the pesticides, xenoestrogens, all that sort of stuff that we get from our environment or even from cleaning products, like all that sort of bad stuff that we hear about. Those are sources of free radicals. Also, like rancid fats, like trans fats, things like that.
Fried stuff.
Yeah.
Frying your body too in the sun, aren't you? You're getting at least free radical skin damage and stuff.
Oh, that's true.
I guess there's different ways of getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, some sources of free radicals are good. Like obviously you don't want to stop going in the sun, but you want to balance it out with antioxidants.
Right.
And making sure you have enough antioxidants to balance out the free radicals.
So it's just like anything where the balance is the name of the game. Everything can be good and everything can be bad in moderation or too much.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Wow.
What are your thoughts about the phytic acid and how that plays a role in demineralizing our teeth? Or if it does at all?
Oh, well, phytic acid, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I think the idea behind it is that it draws minerals from our body, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Pardon?
Yeah, that's sort of what they say, and this is why I think people soak all their almonds or deskin them and all these types of things.
Right. Well, definitely mineral deficiency is related to reduced dentin fluid. So like the long skinny guy that's moving fluid from the blood into the dentin. So mineral deficiency has been shown to reduce that movement, that flow. And so, yeah, phytic acid or anything that's going to result in depletion of minerals. There's been a couple minerals that have been studied, mostly like zinc and chromium, that's what the studies have been focused on. And they show that deficiency in zinc and chromium results in higher risk of getting cavities. But all minerals are related. You can't just say like, oh, I'm only going to get zinc and chromium. Like you obviously want to have
everything else too.
A good balance of minerals.
Yeah, it seems to me like your approach, it seems to me like it makes a lot of sense because brushing, it just seems strange that we'd have to put so much effort into brushing and flossing and all these things. If we are truly sort of eating the diet that works well for our genetics and for our constitution at any particular time in our life, and that may change, but if people are doing and living correctly and eating the proper foods and being mineralized and lowering stress, it seems like you can get away with just sort of average brushing and you would never get a cavity. I mean, we've all sort of known, my dad is one of those people, he just eats whatever he wants and he brushes his teeth, but I mean, he's had like one cavity his whole life. It's amazing. It's just crazy.
I totally agree with what you just said. Yeah, for sure.
What causes teeth to be, it's so funny, this might be a lie that, I've heard all growing up, that family generational stuff, people just, in our family apparently just have soft teeth. What does that mean? And is that true?
Soft teeth, yeah, I've heard that.
That's a great question. So not all teeth are created equally. So that goes back to like when you're asking if the problem starts showing up when you're older. And I said, no, it really affects, like systemic health affects developing teeth. And that is, so teeth are not all teeth are formed the same. So some teeth are formed with the dentin being more densely packed. And that's a good thing, right? So it's like think of like a solid brick house.
Yeah, your little army.
Yeah.
A thicker army.
But when teeth are formed and there's a deficiency in that fluid, like the odontoblasts, those tall skinny guys moving nutrients like to the dentin, when there's a deficiency in nutrients being brought to the dentin, it's not formed quite as well. So it's maybe like bricks just kind of like haphazardly thrown on the house. So that tooth is going to be more susceptible to cavities in the future. And they've done studies to show that even one malnutrition episode can affect the risk of getting cavities in teeth that aren't even in the mouth at that time of the malnutrition episode. Just one episode. But of course, kids that are exposed to more nutritional deprivation are going to be even more susceptible.
Do you know if it has to do with the person in particular being malnutritioned, or could that even go deeper and be something that comes from your mother being malnutritioned when she was pregnant with you? Would that matter about the baby's developing teeth, you think?
Oh, for sure. Because kids or babies' teeth start developing in utero. Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's weird.
Yes.
What a trip.
What do you mean about a one malnutrition episode? Are you meaning like one time where a kid just eats some horrible food, or what do you mean by that?
Well, the study that I'm talking about, they were done on like poor kids, and the kids didn't have enough food. So that's what the study was done on. So like they kind of like went hungry just like one time.
Oh.
But and so it's just showing how much
that can impact.
Exactly.
Wow.
And obviously the kids that had, that were chronically malnourished had like way higher risk. But it shows how powerful nutrition is while the teeth are developing.
What do you think is going on with people who have, because teeth are, correct me if I'm wrong, an extension of bone or our bone, and if we're having issues with our teeth and getting a lot of cavities, it would seem to indicate that there's issue perhaps with our bones and our bones being weak. What's going on inside the body when someone has their blood sort of stealing calcium from their bones, and in particular their teeth? In order to do that, are they again, like we're talking about before, they're just not being mineralized correctly?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, our teeth, like our enamel and our dentin, is made up of something called hydroxyapatite. And so, weird word, but it's it's made up of calcium, phosphorus, and something called hydroxyl, which is just like an oxygen and a hydrogen molecule. And when there's a deficiency in a mineral, then, okay, so I don't know if you remember back to like the, like high school science class where you learn that when there's like an area of high concentration and an area of low concentration, things are going to want to move from the area of high concentration to low. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's how acid draws minerals out of the tooth, because that OH, that it's called hydroxyl, it really wants to form water. Like it would rather form water then stay in the tooth. And the way it does that is by combining with another hydrogen. So hydrogen means acid. So when someone has an acidic mouth, they have a surplus of hydrogen molecules in their mouth. So that component of hydroxyapatite, the main component of teeth, it would rather form water. So it just literally leaves in the presence of acid. It leaves the tooth. It's demineralized, and it's happy because it forms water.
I see.
So that's the same with calcium or phosphorus. So if there's a deficiency of those minerals in the saliva, then moving from an area of high concentration to low concentration is what happens. So then the hydroxyapatite, the component of teeth, it just moves away, leaves the tooth and dissolves or is demineralized. So you want to have saliva that has plenty of calcium and phosphate and not plenty of acid. And then the molecules will stay in the tooth.
Interesting. So in your book, you talk about all the how to test the water content in your saliva and how to naturally increase the strategies to, if saliva is unstimulated and things like that. So you go through a lot of this stuff in your book too.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
I have a really practical question I'm just curious about. So for people listening, they're probably because I'm wondering this, I bet they are, some of them are too, but at what point is there a point when a tooth is just kind of a lost cause? And how would they know that? Because I think a lot of us are like, oh gosh, we're going to try everything we can do, obviously, going the right way to really recorrect and remineralize. But what does a tooth that's kind of a lost cause, if there is such a thing, look like? And when would people know that they've hit that point?
Okay. Well, in terms of cavities, there's like an active cavity is not good and an arrested cavity is awesome. So an active cavity is being demineralized and an arrested cavity has been remineralized. So any tooth, like there's definitely some cavity locations are easier and more difficult to remineralize than others. But a tooth can look bad. I mean, obviously people don't want bad looking teeth in their mouth.
Right.
But, a tooth can be like half missing and look like really ugly and look like it's having tons of problems, but it can be arrested, like the cavity can be arrested and that tooth is okay. It's fine. It's healthy. It's something to celebrate. Like your body, you did it. Your body healed your tooth. So, but if the cavity is active, if it's continually progressing, then that would be, I guess, a hopeless case. Like you wanted to know when to just give up.
Yeah. Or when you're kind of better off to pull it out or something like that versus try to keep going and
right. Well,
heroic efforts.
I usually recommend for cavities, like before it gets to the point where it needs to be pulled out, to just get a filling put in it. So unless there's some sort of different unique situation, but yeah, like if a cavity is a little cavity is discovered, then proper protocol, like what I learned in dental school, is you focus on remineralizing it for 3 months. Not everyone wants to do that. Some people are like, whatever, I don't care, just fill it, right?
Right.
But you monitor it and see if it arrests, if it remineralizes, awesome. If it's progressing, then you have to start thinking, okay, so like what's my risk versus benefits? Like how deep is this cavity? Like if I let it go, if worst case scenario, if it doesn't arrest, if I let it go, is it going to end up having major problems and need to be pulled? Yes. If the answer is yes, well then I recommend filling it at that point.
Yeah.
But if it's like still teeny tiny, then, then the person's still a good candidate to focus on remineralizing. And as long as it's monitored and if worst case scenario, if it doesn't remineralize, then you can do a filling. But often, depending on the location, like some locations are easier than others, but depending on the location, a lot of times they arrest.
So 3 months is a good sort of testing window. Yeah, 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months is a very safe amount of time. Like that's like in my dental school textbook, 3 months.
3 months. Because
then very occasionally someone will have such a rapidly progressing cavity that a problem will happen, in which case they're not good candidates. They, to remineralize, they should maybe focus on some other things before they are good candidates. But yeah, for most people, 3 months, like a disaster is not going to strike if they focus on remineralizing for 3 months.
Are holistic dentists, how should I say this, much more encouraging of people to try to remineralize and kind of waiting that 3 month period than traditional dentists? Are traditional dentists often more, let's just get that thing filled, or do you think they're trying to also kind of wait things out and see if it'll arrest naturally?
I'm not sure. Definitely it could, like, both conventional and holistic dentists can be focused on remineralization. It's more like the technique that they suggest. Like conventional dentists, that's why conventional dentists recommend fluoride, because they want the teeth and the cavity to remineralize. Whereas holistic dentists would probably recommend something more natural. But I think any dentist can be focused on remineralizing. It's a fact. Like it's what we learn in school. So, I don't know. It depends on the dentist, like, and the person too. Like some people are not into it. Like some people are like, I don't care. Just fill it. I don't want to have to do anything. And then other people are really, really not wanting a filling, and they really want to focus on remineralizing.
It turns into their little pet project, doesn't it?
Good for them, though, if they take that much. So they value it that way. As
a last little question, what are some foods that people could introduce into their diet? Do you think that would be helpful for them in this regard?
Well, greens definitely would be good, because that's going to affect like the inside and outside factors. Like the greens will be alkalizing to the mouth, so the acidic factor also will provide like antioxidants for the balancing the free radicals. So that's something that I would suggest. And then in terms of specifics, like I know like a lot of people, they do like the cod liver oil thing. Like that's from Dr. Weston Price, like who is a dentist, right? Who helped people remineralize their teeth. So that I think is great for people. Like sometimes people will come in to me and they'll say like, oh, I'm eating healthy. Like I don't understand. Like I'm eating so healthy and I still get cavities. They're brushing their teeth. They're doing everything, right? So usually I'll suggest, well, why don't you try adding cod liver oil into your diet? Like Dr. Weston Price had great success with it. And so, there's a couple suggestions, but I'm not the type of person who's focused on one diet. Like you won't hear me say you have to eat a certain diet in order to remineralize your teeth. It's more like you said before, like finding the diet that's best for you. And then I think you're going to have success with it.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. And in your book, you get into so many more topics too, like the hormones and the estrogens and thyroid and all this kind of stuff. It's, pretty fascinating. Interesting how it's a whole body thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah. There's lots of research out there that's showing the connection. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you get into the color of the cavity. We'll have to get your book for that one.
Yeah, right.
I thought they were all the same color, but apparently not. Wow. Well, thank you so much.
We have a lot to learn, don't we?
Yeah. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been really awesome.
So your website for people that want to go on your website and check out your book is?
Judene DDS. Judene is JUDENEDDS.com.
Okay, awesome. And they can grab your book. Can they get your book from your website, or do they have to do that from Amazon?
Either one. Yep.
Okay.
There's either one. There's the ebook and the print book as well.
Awesome. How to Stop Cavities: A Natural Approach to Prevention and Remineralization. I can say that.
Yeah, it's a hard one. When did that actually come out?
April 1st, I think, which is a funny day for it to come out.
Funny.
I think it came out April 1st.
Wow, congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Very neat.
That's awesome. Okay, hang on the line, Doctor, and we'll close out the live show. And I just want to thank everyone for being in the live show. We really appreciate it a lot. This was episode 383. Is that right?
Yes, you got it.
I got it right on that one.
Yep.
383. So we'll put the show notes, extremehealthradio.com/383, and you can grab the show notes that way. And I just want to let everyone know, too, of our upcoming show schedule. Let me just scroll down for this really quickly. Next week is going to be a Free-for-All Friday show. And the week after that, let's see, who do we have? Dr. David Steenblock. We're going to be talking with him in studio about stem cell therapy.
I'm excited because you had him all to yourself last time before I joined the show. So I get to meet the infamous Dr. Steenblock.
One of the best stem cell doctors in the nation. Dr. David Steenblock happens to live right in our city. So we'll have him in studio. Then we're going to have LaShonda Green, Adam Bergstrom, lots of great people coming up every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific. If you guys would like to join us on that show. And please pass this show on to your friends. We'd greatly appreciate it. I know Dr. Judene would appreciate it as well as us, and letting other people know about what they can do to remineralize their teeth and to regain their health. Both of us would really appreciate that a lot. So pass this show on to your friends. And also, don't forget to go to extremehealthradio.com/join if you want to donate to us on a per-show basis on Patreon, or if you'd like to learn about other ways you can support the show to remain commercial-free as well as remain free in general. So we appreciate that a lot. This was episode 383. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in the chat room. Have a great Friday, and we'll talk to you soon. Yeah, thank you for being on, and let us know if we can ever support you or help you out in any way.
Oh, well, thank you. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Have a
so
great
welcome.
weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, there you go. There you have it. Now you know how to take care of your teeth. Just like that.
Just that simple.
Yeah, pretty good, huh?
Yeah. I love that interview.
Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of good information.
I feel like every time because we have quite a few dentists on, I feel like I gain some new knowledge every time. Something I'd never heard of, or some word I'd never heard of.
I know,
Appetite.
Right? Yeah, I never heard of that word. What is that word that she used for the thing inside the body, or inside
the tall, skinny men?
Yeah, the tall, skinny men.
Oh.
Odontoblasts.
Odontoblast. That is great. It sounds like a superhero. I'm Odontoblast.
I know, it's like a...
How do you spell that?
Like a He-Man. Odontoblast. Just like it sounds.
Odontoblast.
Blasts.
Odontoman. Yeah, I found it funny. I loved that she used, because we all hear people talk about often the fight or flight response, or, I listen to Lissa Rankin a lot and read a lot of her books, and she talks about being, chased by the cave bear. You'll hear you're being chased by the cave bear, and it's fight or flight. But I love that Dr. Judene today talked about the saber-tooth tiger. I'm it had to be the word tooth involved.
I know, right?
She picked an animal with such a perfect name.
Perfect name.
For her field.
Yeah, we know so many people. I think your sister has some major tooth issues going on right now, doesn't she?
Yeah, and my mom.
Does she?
Gosh.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me last
my
night.
mom has some major stuff going on. My sister's had her fair share of, I think, 2 root canals in the last month, with having to go back in because something didn't work. And, my mom, same thing, where she's fighting this one tooth. It's a cavity, and now she's going back and forth with the dentist about whether it's worth a crown or if it should just be pulled because it's a molar. And so I was having a conversation with her yesterday, asking, I guess I was asking her questions to kind of get the feel where she was at with it, but she's more on the side of pulling it, leaning toward that right now. Mm-hmm. But that's where I recommended, if you're going to pull it, if you can, and you care enough and you want to spend maybe a little bit of extra money and do it right, go to a guy that's in our area that's a holistic natural dentist, because you're going to get the infection underneath cleaned out, right? And
I think his name is, let me put this down on the show notes, Dr. Aguilera?
No, that's not him.
That's not him?
But I bet he's good too.
Oh, Yeah, he was recommended by a bunch of people in our chat room.
Is it? Maybe I'm getting his name. Maybe you are right. It starts with a Z.
Enzymes.
No, that's not it either.
No?
We'll put a link to it.
Okay, yeah.
Let me look it up right here.
Yeah, there's a lot of different places. We go to a guy, really amazing dentist, Dr. Stuart Nunley in Marble Falls, Texas. And I would just recommend people put it on their Care credit card and pay, because personally I think that oral health is huge in terms of our overall health. We did a show with Dr. Bob Dowling quite some time ago, and he was showing how there's x-rays or specific types of tests. He does this thing called an oral ablation for breast cancers, but he's a dentist and he's down in Ecuador. Incredible guy. And he's showing the direct connection between breast cancers and lots of different types of cancers to root canals, infected teeth, cavitations.
He said that there'd be wouldn't he see a line going from a specific tooth down to a mass in the breast or something like that?
Yeah, there's a line that you can see on the image itself that goes from the exact tooth that there's a root canal in to the actual nodule in the breast. I mean, it's just
wild.
Yeah, you got to be on top of your oral health. And man, I was just thinking today, Kate, I think we have to cut out our occasional Miracle Tarts. Do we have to cut those out?
I love Miracle Tarts. Why would you say that?
Well, she was talking about sugar.
Well, yeah.
Any kind of sugar. So I don't know. You know what we should do? Here's what we should do. This is what's cool about
well, I know I need to cut out sugar for a lot of other reasons too. But
well, what we should do is buy some pH strips at the health food store.
Stick it in the center of the Miracle Tart.
No, just
looks good.
Looks good to me. You don't even have to touch it to each other.
Nothing's changed.
Looks good.
It says it's chocolate.
It says it's ready to be eaten.
Yeah, I know. You mean take a couple bites of it, let it go down, and then test the pH. I think we'd be mortified. That's the problem.
You think so?
I think so.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, those things, that is my arch nemesis, along with the Coconut Bliss coconut ice cream, which I just freaking love that stuff.
We'll put links to both those things.
Oh man, are they good? They're my, I think that's the only real quote sugar I eat, because I'm off of fruit right now. I'm having a really big challenge, which I'm actually going to write about in my blog post tonight.
Oh, really?
My challenge with this, getting rid of all sugars, even some of these sugars that are kind of made out of natural, organic substances,
right,
and ingredients. It's on my journey to restore my health with the mercury and a couple other of metal issues I found I have going on. I really need to cut that out while I detox, and it's just one thing that's just lingering with me as it's just really hard. I will say it is a challenge to cut out the things that make you smile and you get happy eating.
Yeah.
And, when you're so restricted already, to have those few little things that, just kind of dagger in the back,
I know, it just kind of stabs the knife in a little bit more, doesn't it?
I'm open.
Yeah, it's those things are just so good. They're called Hail Mary Miracle Tarts, and we'll link to them. My goodness. We don't want to turn you on to bad food, but
well, I think you should post. Can you?
It's so good.
I've written them actually, and I got a great response back. I'll have to read that on the next free for all. I'll read that. But have you? Can you post the photo of the Instagram of how I eat the Miracle Tarts?
Oh yeah,
because I have a issue going on right now where I can't digest a lot of different foods, but I don't do well with nuts at all. So the base of the Miracle Tart is a ground almonds with some sea salt and some other amazing stuff, and I love the taste of it, but I don't digest it well. So I love them so much so that I will take a spoon when we travel to get the Miracle Tarts. Usually when we're going up to Dr. John Bergman's for our chiropractic,
right?
And we know that that's going to kind of be our quote reward for driving 45 minutes up to a chiropractor. We'll reward ourselves with this Miracle Tart, and I will scoop out the inside, the innards I call them, of the Miracle Tart, and just eat it like fudge. Oh my gosh, are they good? And so I wrote Hail Mary, the company who makes them, and I said, this is how committed I am to loving your product. And I sent them a picture of me just spooning out the inside. It didn't look pretty, but man, was it good.
I'm trying to find it right now on our Instagram.
Can you link to that? Because it is pretty funny.
We all have our vices, right? We all have our little little things we're working on as human beings, right? Is this the one right here?
Let me see. Oh, what's your lava lamp?
I want to. That's it, right?
That's it.
Nice.
That's it with my golden spoon.
That's funny.
Glowing.
Yeah, I really like what she's saying, and I'm going to take more of an approach to using the baking soda and making sure that I floss my teeth more. But I really like what she's saying. I mean, she's really cool in the sense that she is talking about how it's more of an internal environment, and it's more of a emotional thing, and it's less to do with brushing, flossing, and even though all that stuff is important, but
it's always changed from the inside out. I know it. It just everything starts internal, and it just reflects. Because I mean, case in point, when I first got into health 5-6 years ago, and I was having some major digestive problems at the time, I worked with a holistic practitioner who had me do a liver cleanse over a 3-month period. And my skin, I didn't expect that. I didn't know much about health at the time, but my skin, I'd have people stop me that had known me for years and be like, what's going on with your skin? It's just, you're radiating.
Wow. And
it's when you clean up the inside, or you go into the inside and find the source of the things or the root of things, and then, that will start to reflect on the outside. So so often we just go to the outside, try to attack things from the outside. Another case in point was my, I've mentioned it a lot on our show, these giant boil looking.
They look like warts, but I don't know
what they were, but I had these issues growing on my hand, and when we went to Dr. Nunley and I had my root canal removed the correct way, within weeks these things had flattened out, and
within less than that, I think it was less than a week, you started noticing differences.
I think it was within a week. By 2 weeks they were almost flat, and by a month they were just like red irritations on the skin, and now they're complete. There's nothing there raised at all. It's phenomenal. So when you get into the internal stuff and treat it from the inside out, I think that's when you're gonna, see the difference. So
yeah, and there's a great article that we shared in the chat room by a listener who was able to write an article for us, hugely popular too, about how she remineralized her teeth. And I just want to let you guys know too, if you are interested in writing content for us, we do accept articles now from people. So if you have some health challenges you've overcome, or things you've done, protocols, or some unique insights, and want to do some writing and get your work out there, and we'll promote it to our audience.
We had our first posted.
Yesterday.
Yeah, you posted it. Our friend Lauren in Australia. So that's exciting, right?
Yeah. So
feel free.
Promote it to our people, to all of our Facebook followers, and we'll share it on Twitter and all that stuff, and promote your work that way. So, but this person who wrote in, let's see, what is her name? She wrote an article, and she has a bunch of pictures too on the website about how she of her teeth over time, and you can see there is all these dark spots on her teeth, and over time they sort of just disappear, which is really cool. But she shares exactly how she did it. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well, so you can take a look at that. But yeah, so she used a Ramil Nagel's book, Cure Tooth Decay. Lots of great books out there for people to look at. And
I have to say, during the show, I was on to Dr. Judene's website, and she has some great blog posts about things like brown spots, how to tell what's going on, what you should be concerned about. So, I mean, there's a lot of great information on her site as well.
Yeah, she's got some good stuff. I'd recommend getting her book.
I know.
How to Stop Cavities. That would be a natural approach to prevention and remineralization. I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because a lot of it, we're all about prevention, That's the easier course if you could just prevent things in the first place, but it's not real life. It's not reality for a lot of us.
Right.
So that's great to have a book that covers both. I love that. Here's what to do to keep from getting them, and here's what to do if you have them, because we all struggle with these things for sure. And,
right.
I know I've had times where, you just get that twinge and you're like, oh gosh, there's something going on with my tooth. And it'll hurt for like a couple days and then just gone. It's like I felt like it won the battle in there, and then you never feel it again. So these things do kind of flare up and go away again. And Farmer Mark in our chat room said something really interesting.
Oh, yeah?
He said that he was having some issues with feeling like he was, I don't know if he said it was a cavity and he knew it was a cavity, but it was really, really irritating and it had been hurting him a lot. So one night before bed, he took that BAM, Hawaiian BAM, what's that, probiotic? Liquid probiotic, and swished it around in his mouth and didn't rinse, and left it on there all night, and then he said he never had a problem again.
No way.
Isn't that cool?
What is it called? BAM?
BAM. It's a Hawaiian, he said BAM Hawaiian probiotic.
Oh.
I'll have to look it up. I'd never heard of it, but
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's some really great stuff out there. I would recommend you guys go to Living Libations. If you go through our link, it'll help support us. But our link for Living Libations is extremehealthradio.com/Nadine, Nadine, and she's got some really, really great information on her website, as well as some awesome products, healthy teeth and gums. And she's got this whole successful self-dentistry kit that you can get with essential oils, healthy gum drops, a yogi tooth serum, and this whole protocol that she talks about and how to take care of your teeth and to look at this frankincense, fresh toothpaste. Just some really, really great stuff here. Sea salt rinse. She's got stuff for receding and bleeding gums, healthy gum drops, and all kinds of really cool stuff. There's also really great information too on Will Revick's website. It's extremehealthradio.com/Aura, O-R-A, and that stands for Aura Wellness is the name of his company.
Not your aura.
extremehealthradio.com/Aura. That's different.
However, I'm sure you could cleanse that too.
You probably could, actually.
Cleansing your aura.
But he's got some really great stuff for killing bacteria, and it's called the Healthy Mouth Blend. So you may want to check that out as well, for gingivitis, bleeding gums, sensitive teeth, loose teeth, periodontal disease, cavities, halitosis, which would be really good for our dog.
For Maggie.
Halitosis.
We always joke about her halitosis.
Red or swollen gums. So really cool stuff. extremehealthradio.com/ORA, and we'll put links to all these things too in the show notes if you want to grab those. Is that about it?
I think so. Your mouth is just so important. The more you think about it, I mean, when something's wrong with your mouth, yeah, nothing seems to be right in the world.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
right?
when you burn your tongue even, and it's just for 2 days, it's just a bummer. It takes away the joy of tasting food, and you think that's a silly little inconvenience. But when you have like aching teeth, my gosh, it's like the worst. It's
like one of those things that when it sort of creeps up on you, you realize, oh, I should have been taking better care of my teeth all along. And it's so easy to do. You know, it's so easy to do that, but we just don't do it. And when it does happen, we really are kicking ourselves, aren't we?
We get the best brusher I know, and you know, we kind of got scared into it a little bit more when we went to Dr. Nunley, and you lose a tooth because of a root canal, and you think you're in there, and after you wake up and you have an IV in your arm of the vitamin C and the loveliness they give you, and then you're getting your acupressure done, and you're sitting there going, this is lovely, but I never want to go through this again. I don't want to be back here for this purpose. I don't want to have more teeth pulled, and gosh darn it, I'm going to do anything to keep myself, only going to the office for fun drop-bys and cleanings, and that's about it. So,
because a tooth is really an organ, and
right,
and so
I thought that was really important. She touched on the fact that they're full of blood and they're living. That's really important. We don't think of them like that.
A lot of people just think they're dead, and they're just there's nothing to them. But I would suspect that I would sort of equate a cavity almost like a cancer.
Sure,
it makes a lot of sense that it would be some sort of a cancer. And if you're getting cavities, that's probably an indication that you have some imbalance in your health that you need to start working on internally.
Yeah.
So grab her book. We'll put a link to her book on the show notes in the website, extremehealthradio.com/383, How to Stop Cavities, a Natural Approach to Prevention and Remineralization. We'll link to it to Amazon, and if you bookmark our Amazon link and use that every time you purchase, that will help support our show. Or you can grab the book right from her website as well. We'll link to that as well. But if you do that, make sure to book our Amazon link anyway so that you can support us with any other future purchases you make. extremehealthradio.com/Amazon. Just book that and then use that every time. Use the bookmark. That will help support us. And we do accept donations on Patreon. So we would be greatly, greatly appreciative if you would consider donating. Some people donate like 25 cents a show. It takes us hours and hours probably 10 hours to produce one show because of all the show notes and everything we do. So if you think, you'd like to support us on a per show basis, a lot of people do $1, $5 or whatever per show. People go up to $15 a show. You can set a monthly cap on there on Patreon. And that way, if we do 5 or 6 shows a month, you will never go over whatever your cap is. So, But if all you have is very little amounts of funds and you enjoy our work and you think we're doing great stuff and you want to support us, don't think that 25 cents a show doesn't mean anything to us, because it does. So consider donating, 50 cents a show, 75 cents, $1, $2, $5 a show, and that would help us greatly. If you have a Facebook account, you can sign up to Patreon really, really quickly. It's within 30 seconds. You can sign up and do your donation. And it only takes money out of your account at the very beginning of the month. So even though you're donating on a per show basis, you only get money taken out once a month at the beginning of the month. So you don't even get money taken out at the time that you make the donation. So
is it the first of every month or around then?
Yeah, it's around the first of the month. Yeah. So we appreciate everyone who's been doing that. So without you, we couldn't do this show and make this all possible. So thank you so much for your support and for passing the show on to your friends. Please go over to extremehealthradio.com/join. At the very top of our website, you can see a link to that page, and that will show you lots of different ways that you can support our show, financially and not financially as well. So
anything. We'll take any support we can get anyhow. We love you guys, and we're so grateful. Thank you guys so much for everything, believing in us and wanting to see more.
We love it.
More shows coming down the
pipe.
The pipe. Does that make sense? Coming down the pipe.
Yeah, it does. All right, everyone. extremehealthradio.com/383. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
That's so good.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this